Hey, algebra people. So here is basically the introduction of what we're going to be doing today. So this is for dealing with polynomials, which if you look at our definition down here, is defined as a monomial or the sum of monomials. And remember, a monomial can be, anything like x or 2x or 3yz cubed or whatever. It can be anything like that, but there's no plus and minus signs in it. A polynomial can have plus and minus signs in it because that's where the sum of monomials come in. And when they're talking about minus and how that applies, well, think of minus as a sum of a negative number. All right, and so this right here at the bottom is an example of a polynomial. So what I want to do in this video is basically show you the basic idea of when we multiply these things. We'll look at some harder examples of it coming up, but let's take a look at just more of the easier version of this. So if we look at this, we've got negative 3x squared times this whole thing in the parentheses, right? So we're multiplying it by each of these terms. So it's obviously a distributive property situation going on here. So you've got negative 3x squared, which is going to be multiplied individually by 7x squared, negative x, and 4. And so it's just a matter of knowing what you multiply by what. So hopefully you remember this a little bit. You take your negative 3 and you multiply that by 7. So that's going to give you negative 21. And then you just take your x squared and you're going to multiply that by this x squared. And that's going to give you x to the, and then you add your exponents, right? 2 plus 2 is 4. All right. And then you just go through and you do that whole process with everything. And I'm going to just go back to my white color now that I kind of broke it down. So we're going to let's get rid of this stuff right here. We're going to take this now and multiply it by negative x. So that's going to give you plus 3x to the third power because it's 2 and 1, right? So you add those up. Okay, then we will do that with the last one here. So we have this one and this one. So negative 3 times 4 is minus 12. And then it's x squared times, x to the 0 power. So if, because it's not showing up. So it's just x squared. And then really, at this point, there's nothing else you can do to it because you can't really simplify it or combine any like terms because you've got x to the fourth, you've got x to the third, and you've got x squared, and you can't combine any of those. Remember, the variable has to be the same and the exponent needs to be the same. So that's kind of the basic premise of how this works. So let's look at another couple examples. So let's do this first one here. So it's 5a squared. I'm just going to write this out times minus 4a squared. And then you'll have plus 5a squared times 2a. And then plus 5a squared times negative 7. So we'll do our 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Do our a squared times our a squared, which gives us a to the fourth. 5 times 2 is 10. And then a squared times a is a cubed. Then plus, and then 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, a squared. All right, one more example. All right, same deal. I'm going to write it out. Minus 60 to the third times 3d fourth. If you want to pause the video and try it yourself and then check back and see if you got what I got, that would not be a bad use of your time. I'm going to have to kind of move down here. Minus 60 to the third times 9. Okay, so this first one, negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And then d to the third times d to the fourth gives me d to the seventh. Then plus, because you have a negative times a negative. And then 6 times 2 is 12. And then we're going to have d to the sixth because you've got 3 plus 3, right? Okay, then you have negative 6d cubed times negative d, so that's going to be plus 6, because if it doesn't have a coefficient, it's 1. And then do your d's, so your d would be 4. And then negative 6 times 9 is negative 54, and then just d cubed. All right, so that would be our finished answer. And I hope that this all is starting to make a little sense to you.